Well, the weekend has begun. So today we're going to try to do what we can and just focus on certain of wrestling events that I think many of you like. As you know, New Japan has just begun the annual tournament, the G1 Climax. We are in day one. Now, keep in mind, people, this is just the early stages. So I'll explain a little bit about that as we go. And also explain for the new people what the G1 Climax is. And of course, it's that time again. As you know, every promotion has their own version of WrestleMania. Well, TNA has their own as well. Slammiversary. So we have title matches taking place. We have, of course, the TNA World Title six-way elimination match, the tag team titles, the X Division, the Knockouts World Title, the Knockouts World Tag Team titles, and the Digital Media title, and various other good matches as well. And then, of course, we see AEW make their way to Collision, introducing a brand new stage, and of course, some interesting matches taking place, such as the debut of Hologram, the Trios titles are all on the line, and everything else. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, and of course, developments are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestling Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay right here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is not on this episode, we can either put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, do the United Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions set aside, it's now time to go full speed ahead. Now, as you know, I mentioned this before, we are now in the beginning of the annual tournament by New Japan Pro Wrestling, the G1 Climax. Okay, the G1 Climax. Now, for those who are new to the channel, you may not know what this is. Now, those who do know, congratulations, you guys are still on the same boat as me. Now, the G1 Climax is an annual tournament where they pick about maybe 20 or more wrestlers, depending who they can really book. There are times they get wrestlers from other promotions or wrestlers who are foreigners, such as their partners from AEW, that sort of thing. The tournament is the G1 officially stands for Grade 1, which is those who will challenge for the world title or world heavyweight title, whatever title they have in their possession. Now, the winner for this tournament will get an opportunity to challenge the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion at, of course, Wrestle Kingdom starting in 2025. And that's how it always happens. So this is how it works. The winner gets 2 points. So basically, that's how it goes. Now, if the person who did not win the match, they'll get 0 points. But at any time of a time limit draw, each competitor gets 1 point. Now, it gets a little tricky when we get close to the end of the tournament, because certain times they do these calculations. Okay, who needs to win? If there's a tie, someone has to win to move forward, or this and that. So when we get to that kind of moment, it gets a little confusing. But I'll stake to this closely. That way you guys don't get confused, because when we hear things like that, it throws us off. But, so things will go from here. But I'll spend a little bit when we get back about something else on this, when we finish our review for this entire part. Now, our first match, we begin with the B block, and we have Boltin Oleg versus Ren Narita. Now, Ren Narita, as you all know, he's a despicable piece of garbage ever since aligned himself to the House of Torture. Now, he has participated in the G1 last year, which was his first one, but he doesn't count that as part of it because he feels like that doesn't mean anything. So he thinks that that this one matters now because he's with the House of Torture. But however, Boltin Oleg was the one who pulled up the biggest surprise when he picked up his first win against Ren Narita when he applied the Kamikaze. 1, 2, 3, it's over. He gets 2 points. And as for Ren Narita, 0. Yep. Now, let's jump into our B block match. We have Cal Newman versus Shota Umino. Now, I'm not going to deny about both of these guys what they can do. I mean, Cal Newman, he is a very talented wrestler. Shota Umino is determined to be the ace of New Japan. But that kind of puts it in a very interesting matter. Now, Cal Newman, who has been kind of somewhat trying to imitate Will Ospreay. I mean, we've seen that with Shota Umino in the past. He did that like with Tanahashi and Naito, but now he has his own image. But sooner or later, Cal Newman will have to do that. But he even tried to apply the Oscutters maybe twice or 2 or 3 times. But the Oscutter was really the deciding factor that allowed him to pick up his first ever G1 win. And he gets 2 points. As for Shota Umino, 0. Now back to the B block. We have El Phantasmo being accompanied by Yado. He takes on Big, Scary, and our current never openweight champion, Hinare. Now, of course, we have seen El Phantasmo. He's a strong individual. He is tough. He knows what he's doing. But however, you got a dangerous competitor like Hinare. Hinare was able to pick up the win when he applied the Streets of Rage, giving him, of course, 2 points. And as for El Phantasmo, 0 points. Now, back to the B block. We have Zack Sabre Jr. He takes on, of course, the Great Khan. Now, of course, this was going to be a very impressive match. Now, certain people are hoping that maybe Zack Sabre Jr. wins the tournament. And, of course, Zack Sabre Jr. himself wants to win the tournament to elevate the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. But we'll see what happens when we get there. But, however, it was the Zack driver by Zack that allowed him to pick up his win, receiving 2 points. As for Great Khan, 0. Now, our next match, we have Hiroki Goto taking on Jeff Cobb. Now, of course, Hiroki Goto, he is one of the toughest SOBs, but he's determined to become the first ever elder IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, but he has to face against Jeff Cobb, but it was Cobb who picked up the win when he applied the Tour of the Islands on him, giving him his first 2 points, and of course, Hiroki Goto, 0. Now, our next match, this one was a very, very fast-paced match. We have Jake Lee. As you all know, recently Jake Lee left Noah, abandoning his brethren, the good-looking guys, to join the Bullet Club War Dogs. He took out Sonata with the big boot, giving him his 2 points, and his match was less than 5 minutes. So, who knows? But if I was Naito, I would be more concerned about Jake Lee, because Jake Lee has targeted Naito by orders of none other than the big old crybaby, David Finlay. Now, our next match, back to the B block, we have Yuya Uemura taking on, as I said before, the big crybaby, David Finlay. So, our current IWGP Global Champion. Now, probably some of you may ask me, why does he call him a crybaby? Well, he is a crybaby. He complains a lot about this and that. So, but here's the best part. Some of you may think, okay, David Finlay, he's a vicious guy who would do whatever it takes to win. Well, I was surprised, and I think many of you might have been surprised. Yuya Uemura picked up his win when he applied the Hurricanrana on him, and he actually won his 2 points on this one. However, there's a rule of thumb here, folks. Now, if Yuya Uemura has been unable to win the tournament, there is a upside to this. I said it before, David Finlay is the IWGP Global Champion. What does that mean? Oh, that's right. That means he can challenge Finlay for the title. That means he does have the right to challenge. Now, Finlay can cry and bitch all he wants, and he's going to do that, but the IWGP committee is going to look into this. So, that's how it's going to happen. And that's why I keep calling David Finlay a crybaby. So, we'll see how that goes. You know what I mean? So, it's up to Yuya Uemura if he wants that or not. But if he does, this is going to be interesting to watch. That's only if he does not win the entirety of the G1. So we'll see how that goes as we go along. Now, our next match, we have Gabe Kidd versus Evil. Now, some of you may remember, the House of Torture are somewhat aligned with the Bullet Club, because Jay White invited Evil to join. Some people are saying, are they really part of the Bullet Club? They have their own thing going around. But Gabe Kidd has his own type of opinions. He doesn't think that they're part of the group, But of course, here's the thing. The entire fan base, and this one may shock you guys, they were rooting for Gabe Kidd. Why? Nobody likes Evil. Now, Evil, he thinks that he is the shit. He said, if you guys remember, when Sonata was the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, he told everybody that Sonata forfeit the title. Come on, we did not hear that from Sonata. He's saying that he did. And then, of course, trying to take control, he claims himself to be the president of New Japan. But, however, Gabe Kidd, he's like the kind of guy who doesn't take any shit from anybody, especially with Evil. Now, we did see a few things going around, but, oh, man, this whole, of course, Dick was going to get involved, as always. And then, of course, Gabe Kidd KO'd the referee by accident, but this allowed for Dick to get involved and choke Gabe Kidd, and then, of course, Evil applied everything as Evil. So, it's go figure that should have happened. But Gabe Kidd should have had someone by his side to deal with, of course, Dick. But that's how it goes. I'm sure Evil... now, here's the thing. Gabe Kidd is the current New Japan Strong Openweight Champion. I wouldn't be surprised if Evil does cash it in, but we'll see. Now, back to the B block. Well, hold on. Evil gets 2 points. Gabe Kidd gets 0. So, we'll talk a little more about that. Now, B block, we have Konosuke Takeshita versus Yota Tsuji. Now, I know some people were hypocritical about Konosuke Takeshita, about, this guy's from DDT, guys. He doesn't fit the mold. Well, what you guys don't know, when he was 9 years old, he wanted to join New Japan Pro Wrestling, but he never got the chance. New Japan has this way of how they recruit people, and he wants to show what he can do in New Japan. I think many people would love to see that. But when it comes to Yota Tsuji, now many fans probably would have supported Tsuji because he is one of the top rising wrestlers. But unfortunately, it was Konosuke Takeshita with the Blue Thunder Bomb that allowed him to pick up the win. He gets his first 2 points. As for Tsuji, 0. Now our main event, back to the A block, is a showdown within the LIJ ranks. We have the Dragon, Tetsuya Naito, versus the Stardust Genius, Tetsuya Naito. So now, if you guys know the history between Naito and Shingo, they actually go back during their time as trainees under the guidance of Animal Hamaguchi, who's a well-known, respect wrestling trainer. So basically, it makes perfect sense. Now, don't forget, it was Naito who brought Shingo to LIJ back in 2018. So it interesting to see the two pairs win. However, I wasn't too sure how this was going to go, but surprisingly, it was Shingo with the Made in Japan that put away Naito and win the match. Now, Naito, I would say he could be one of the fan favorites to win the tournament. So that's something we can keep an eye out. But as I said before about Yuya Uemura, if Shingo does not win the tournament, even though he won this match and he pinned Naito, our current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, he can cash in an opportunity to challenge for the belt even if he doesn't win. Because as you all know, I said this before, the winner of the G1 Climax will get a shot of the IWGP World Heavyweight title in Wrestle Kingdom in January. So that has always been how it plays out. So anything could happen between them. So that means if Shingo challenged Naito after the tournament and before Wrestle Kingdom, it's okay. And the same thing goes on. So anybody who pins what champion involved, it could happen. But however, as I said before, everybody who wins these matches get 2 points. And everybody will get 0. But some things can change. Now, there are wrestlers we will see at points that will go up to 4 points and the others whatever. But I'll keep track on everything for all of you, so you won't get confused. Until we get close to the end, and if certain things kind of doesn't make sense, I'll explain to all of you that. So right now, I think we are done with New Japan, so let's move on with TNA Slammiversary. Okay, as I said before, TNA Slammiversary, one of their big shows of the year. Now, normally I don't do the pre-shows, but I decided to do it for the heck of it. Now, our first match, as you know, we have a 4-way knockouts match. We have Tasha Steelz versus Fabi Apache from AAA versus Giselle Shaw versus Xia Brookside. So this is an interesting type of matchup. Now, however, this match, I don't know if it has any significance, but however, I do know it could put a little bit of momentum, whoever wins, maybe for an opportunity of the TNA Knockouts World title. However, this match could have won by Giselle Shaw when she took out Xia Brookside with a knee strike, but it was Tasha Steelz who took the opportunity to toss Giselle Shaw out of the way for her to pin Xia Brookside and pick up the win. But I know for a fact Giselle Shaw will not take this kindly that she stole her win. So sooner or later, those two will clash at some point. Now, our next match, we have Rich Swann versus Kushida. Now, this is where things got interesting. Kushida, normally coming out in the Back to the Future type, he actually kind of took an image from a Japanese wrestler. I forgot his name, but he has like markings on his face, his entire body. I don't know exactly what that was all about, but it was pretty interesting. I never thought that Kushida would change his gimmick, but it did. I don't know if he was changing the gimmick due to the storyline that he will build up with Jonathan Gresham, but it was very interesting. But he was able to pick up the win against Rich Swann when he applied a hoverboard lock on top of the turnbuckle, and just like that, he put him down on the ground and he tapped. Now, our next match, this is for the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team titles. We have Spitfire, Danny Luna and Jody Threat versus Masha Slamovich and Alicia Edwards. Now, as you know, the Spitfire does have a contingency for a title rematch. However, they've been training to get back on top, back in the conversation. But Lars Frederiksen said their goodbye because he has done his job. However, can Spitfire regain those belts? Well, they had a pretty good, solid way to pick up the win. But however, the usual cohesion with Masha Slamovich trying to find Masha and Alicia helped them pick up the win when they applied a bulldog on Jody Threat, allowing them to retain the belts. So we'll see more about what's going to happen. Now, our next match, we have Eric Young versus Alex Hammerstone. Now, of course, Alex Hammerstone, you probably would think, oh, he probably picked up the win since he's strong. No, it was a roll-up by Eric Young that picked up the win, and just like that. And he gave a little strong promo, as you know, as Eric Young is one of the OGs of TNA. Well, it makes perfect sense. So let's get started with our very first. Of course, when we started the main card. Since you know this particular event took place in Montreal, Canada, they did the Canadian national anthem and all that. But our first match in the main card was Matt Hardy versus JDC. Now, don't forget that piece of garbage JDC took out Jeff Hardy and attacked his wife, Rebby. So basically, Matt Hardy got his payback. He put him in a twist of fate at the second rope of the turnbuckle, and just like that, it was over. But however, it wasn't done. He gave him maybe 2 or 3 twist of fates, one for Jeff, one for his wife, and that was over. So I'm sure this was the collapse of the system in some capacity, but we'll see. Now, our next match is for the TNA World Tag Team titles, the ABC versus the System. Now, remember, the ABC lost these belts to the System a while back, so basically this led to that. But of course, in this match, Alicia Edwards was going to get involved, but Alicia Edwards got herself in a big problem when she got, of course, the Art of Finesse onto by Chris Bay, putting Edwards and Myers in a bit of shock. They can't believe it, but they dropped the ball worrying about Alicia, but it did give, of course, the opportunity to apply the 1-2, sweet! And just like that, they are back as tag team champions. They are new TNA World Tag Team Champions. However, could this be the beginning of the crumble of the System? We'll see about that when we get there. Now, our next match, we have Jake Something versus Mike Santana. Now, this particular match had no significance, but however, just a reminder, these two men were involved in the qualifier matches in the road to Slammiversary. Of course, Mike Santana got screwed out thanks to JDC, but even though JDC got his ass whooped by Mike Santana, Jake Something lost to Joe Hendry. So basically, this is not a storyline, but the obvious question, and I agree with Tom, the commentator, could this be a perfect opportunity for them to build the momentum to, of course, get back into the hunt for the TNA World Title? Well, that is a good observation, but it was Santana with the spin to block that allowed him to pick up the win. So sooner or later, he will make his way to the TNA World Title, but it's only be a matter of time until he does. Now, as you know, we've been seeing wrestlers coming from NXT making their way to TNA. Last time we saw Noto Catch Crew, most specifically, of course, attacking the Rascals. Last time they confronted them, it was, of course, Trey and Zach teaming with Kushida, but things didn't go well for them until we saw the return of Wes Lee, known as Desmond Xavier, who is now back to team up with his teammates to deal with the No Quarter Catch Crew, and that's exactly what happened. Now, of course, the Quarter Catch Crew were going to try to do something, but however, it was, of course, the Hot Flame by Zachary Wentz onto Tavion Heights that allowed them to win the match. So this was the first win in a long time for these three to pick up the win on TNA. So fantastic. But if you guys notice, these guys dressed up as Buzz Lightyear. I thought that was pretty cool. Now our next match, this is for the TNA Digital Media Championship and also the International World Heavyweight title in a Montreal street fight. AJ Francis versus PCO. However, AJ Francis with money, he thought he had everything under control. Sami Callihan even tried to help out, even RHIO too. But however, of course, things got out of hand when PCO took out AJ Francis with multiple PCO salts and allowing him to become the double champion. However, at the end of the entire post-match, Stephanie DeLander showed up and asked PCO to marry her. And of course, he said in French, yes. So, I thought that was a very interesting thing. I wonder what Renwald thinks about it, but yes. Now, our next match, this is for the TNA Knockouts World title. Now, for 6 months, we have witnessed Ash by Elegance observing and scouting this Jordan Grace's match. Now, of course, you know, that's always been the thing, but Jordan Grace made a fantastic point. Ash by Ella's been going by vacation and all this other stuff, and to ensure that she could win, Jordan Grace has been busting her butt off, putting open challenges against anybody who can step up to her plate, and that's exactly what was going on. But however, that idiot stooge, the whatever he calls himself, he was stalked by Rosemary. Now, don't forget, Ash by Elegance took out Havoc, so this was a little bit of payback. But would this put a bit of an effect to Ash by Elegance? What in somewhat it kind of did, but however, that wasn't enough for Ash to become the TNA Knockouts World Champion. But it was, of course, the Juggernaut driver that sealed the deal for Jordan Grace to pick up the win. Now, our next match is the TNA X Division title, Mike Bailey versus Mustafa Ali. Now, Mustafa Ali has clearly been ducking Mike Bailey, claiming that he doesn't earn or has a right to the X Division title. So, a lot of things happened. But, however, Mike Bailey took out, of course, those dumbass Secret Service, Campaign Singh, and, of course, the Riot Squad, and that sort of thing. And then, of course, there was a moment where Mike Bailey was about to do a thrust kick to Ali, but he pulled the referee in the line of fire, causing all hell to break loose. But luckily, Trent Seven showed up to help out to deal with this mess. And then when things got out of hand, as you all know, Montreal does have a dark history, and that history is the so-called Montreal Screwjob. And you know who was involved in that? Referee Earl Hebner. So basically, Ali was thinking about bringing that dark side again. But however, Earl Hebner decided not to do this. He refused to. But Ali ended up himself in a sharpshooter by, of course, Mike Bailey, allowing himself to win the match and becoming our brand new X Division champion. But this match also allowed for Earl Hebner to find redemption for all those years of that match that haunted him. So basically, I think Mustafa Ali screwed himself over this thinking by pissing off Montreal by bringing this Earl Hebner will succeed, but it did not. But I wouldn't be surprised if Mustafa Ali this coming Thursday bitches, complains, and cries like a little baby demanding a rematch. Well, we'll see what happens until we get there. Now, of course, speaking of crybabies, we saw, of course, that stooge from Ash by Elegance and Alex Hammerstone. As you know, they're not happy with the results of their matches, so they're demanding rematches. So they complained to the Director of Authority, Santino, and he had an idea. Have Jordan Grace and Eric Young team up to take on Ash by Elegance and Alex Hammerstone. So we'll see how that goes on Thursday. Now, our next match, we have a 6-way match for the TNA World Championship. We have Joe Hendry versus Frankie Kazarian versus Josh Alexander versus Steve Macklin versus Nick Meneth, and then, of course, Moose. Now, this is how the elimination went down. First person that gets eliminated is Steve Macklin by Moose when he speared him. And then Moose gets eliminated by Joe Hendry with the standing ovation. So basically, Moose's elimination meant there was a guaranteed opportunity that whoever remains in the match will become the new TNA World Champion. However, when Hendry had everything was celebrating, apparently Josh Alexander did the most despicable thing. He low-blowed Joe Hendry out of nowhere. Even the fans were not happy with it. And then, of course, he gave Joe Hendry the C4 spike, and just like that, it was over. But after that, we did see, of course, Nemeth super kicked Alexander, and he gets eliminated. And then after that, the match goes to Frankie Kazarian and Nick Meneth. Now, remember, Kazarian attacked Meneth like about a couple, not this past Thursday, maybe 3 weeks ago or so, and now this leads up to them. But luckily, it was Nick Meneth who walked away with the win when he actually applied the Danger Zone, becoming the new TNA World Champion. So that leads it up, and then of course all champions made their way. Of course, the TNA Tag Team Champions, Jordan Grace, Mike Bailey, PCO. So basically, everybody was there. So it was a great show. I think I liked it, but it was a lot of fun. So I think we're already done with TNA. So it's time to move on with AEW Collision. Okay, AEW Collision. As you know, you may have sought a brand new stage. I thought it was a pretty good one, so we'll just leave it as that. Now, our first match, we have Darby Allin making his return after a while from being injured and all that. And of course, he made his appearance, announcing himself as the fifth and final member to join Team AEW to deal with the Elite. Now, of course, his opponent is a big monster, Beast Mortos. Well, you would think Darby Allin, who we know he's relentless, no matter how many times he gets his butt whooped or been plastered, he never gives up. But however, it took only a coffin drop to put him away. And then, of course, he ended up winning the match. He put out a strong promo saying that he felt, of course, AEW has always been his home and, of course, his baby. Now he's not going to. And he also criticized the Elite that they never show up at Collision. So basically, that's has always been. Now, the Acclaim, as you know, they are in fact going to participate in Team AEW, but Daddy has decided to give them a little tough love. So basically, he's teaching them this is no fun and games being in a cage. You have to be violent. So basically, they are now in agreement, realizing, okay, maybe joining the Team AEW is not was a bad idea, but Daddy S does have a valid point. This is not a fun and game type of match you ought to be in. So basically, they have to step up their game. Now, our next match. This one was a match that was requested by Sky Blue, called out the former AEW Women's Champion. Now, remember, this could have been an opportunity for Sky Blue. If she defeats Hikaru Shida, she will be in a conversation for an AEW Women's World Title. But however, Hikaru Shida being good as she is, the match ended in a stoppage due to the fact that Sky Blue really got injured. This one was reported that she might have injured herself. We don't know how severe, but we'll keep track on that. Now, but we did see Hikaru Shida was not happy with the result of this match. Basically, she was still looking for a fight, and she called out another former champion, and we're talking about Britt Baker. Now, the reason she called it out is because, as you know, Britt Baker made her return, and now she's feeling like, oh, you cut in line for the TBS title. I'm sure Hikaru Shida does have the TBS title on in her sights too, but Britt Baker beat her to the punch. Now, we did see Lance Archer. Well, once again, as you all know, we were in Texas. Well, everybody dies. And I feel bad for those who got caught in his crosshairs, but yes. Now, then we see, of course, Jericho. He's confident enough to believe that he would teach Minoru Suzuki a lesson. Come on, guys. Minoru Suzuki doesn't give a damn about what Jericho would say. He just show up and fight. That's all he cares. But we'll see. Now, our next match, we have Tony Nese versus Rey Fenix. But of course, that Weasel Sterling was there. So was Josh Woods and Daivari. So Phoenix has to have eyes in the back of his head. But he took out, of course, Daivari and Woods outside the ring, and then of course he took out Sterling. But somehow Rey Fenix was able to withstand the 450 splash by Tony Nese, but in the end it was a frog splash that allowed him to pick up the win, just like that. Now, Tony Schiavone, as you know, made his way to the ring to have a little talk with none other than the former AEW World Tag Team Champions, FTR. Now, of course, FTR talk about their success, from 2022, 2023. So basically, there's that. But he also made some good points. Now, the Young Bucks talked about, of course, saying that they're going to elevate the tag team division, but they never defended the belts. So basically, they felt like, oh, they lied. So they're just holding on to this belt for no apparent reason. But they said that they will make their way back to the AEW World Tag Team titles, but all the way to Wembley Stadium. So we'll see what happens until we get there. Now, we see Roderick Strong versus Tomohiro Ishii. And of course, these two guys have dealt with each other in the past. Roderick Strong might have lost the match against Ishii back in New Japan. But of course, wherever he goes, those idiots, Taven and Bennett, will show up to give him a helping hand. Roderick gave him a low blow, and then of course the knee strike, and just like that, he won the match. But as soon as the match was over, they decided to take out Ishii once and for all. But luckily, Briscoe and of course O'Reilly showed up to help. So basically, the Undisputed Kingdom ran through to the hills. So that's how it runs. Now, our next match, as you know, we have the arrival of a brand new talent, Hologram. Many of you, he was known as back in the day, and many of you may have seen him on various promotions and independents as Aramis. Now, that name is officially part of AAA, so he faces against Gringo Loco. I have to say, what an impressive match. A great lucha libre style, great high flying. I think many of you may like that. And I was very impressed, but I was like, wow. I mean, if they had like a cruiserweight division, that would have been great. But it was Hologram who picked up the win with a spinning power bomb, and just like that, it was pretty sick. I love it. So Hologram picked up his first win. Now we do see a very interesting moment. We do see the Von Erichs, Marshall, and Ross with their dad Kevin, along with Dustin Rhodes. It appears that, as you know, the Rhodes and the Von Erichs, who are both families are Texas natives, unite, and this time it's going to be interesting. Now, we did talk about the Von Erichs recently. There were talks that they would be signing with the promotion, but we haven't heard anything just yet. So the obvious question is, will Marshall and Ross sign with AEW? That would be interesting to see. So we'll see what happens. Now, our next match is a lumberjack match between, of course, Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo. These two ladies have been going back and forth in all this because they both were aiming at the same thing, the AEW Women's World Title. But however, the lumberjack match actually got chaotic because amongst the matches, we did see, of course, people that would participate at Death Before Dishonor, and it caused a chaos. But Teo Valkyrie, for some odd reason, decided to help Deonna Purrazzo and decided to use one of those ring metal parts that sets up the ropes, and Deonna used it on Rosa and just picked up the win just like that. And I know this is not how this match should have been, but it ended like that. Now, our next match, this is for the vacancy of the AEW World Trios title, the Patriarchy versus the Bang Bang Gang, consistent of Juice Robinson, Austin, and of course Colton. Now remember, because Jay White got injured, apparently they were trying to say that Juice Robinson automatically is the champion. But however, due to the circumstances, that does not work. But however, Christopher Daniels, who's the interim assistant or whatever he does, decided, how about we make this match happen for the vacancy, the Patriarchy versus the Bang Bang Gang. And of course, I'm sure Christian likes the idea. But of course, we were going to see some treachery with Christian and his cronies. Christian used the ref to ensure he does not see what, of course, that dumb mother, of course, Shayna, gets involved and sprays Juice Robinson, allowing for Christian to apply the kill switch, and just like that, they become the brand new AEW World Trios title. And of course, they're going to post their lies about saying building prestige. Well, Christian didn't do no prestige with the TNT title, but sooner or later, someone will get those belts. And my smart money would say, I would say House of Black will do that, because I'm sure they haven't forgotten what Christian Cage have done. We'll see what happens until then. So I think we are done with AEW, so I believe it's time for our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for all of you. So let's begin with upcoming events from the promotions themselves. Now, as you all know, GCW will have the Bloodsport event on the 28th of this month. They just announced Charlie Dempsey will be in action to take on Royce Isaacs. So that's going to be a very interesting to match up. Now, as you know, we have two upcoming shows back to back in the month of August with Kitsune Women's Wrestling. Now, as you know, they just added a brand new show here in my hometown in San Diego with Love My Show on the 17th of August. Now, they announced names for this particular show. Savi Stone, I don't know much about her, but the person I do know they did announce is Delmi Exo. So yes. Now, if you guys in the San Diego area are interested to check out the show, you can purchase tickets online. They're like $40 each. I don't think I'm gonna go. Just way too much for me at the moment. But as you know, the following day they'll be making their way back to LA. They announced for the Yabai event for the 18th of August, Sage Sin Supreme. I've seen her in XPW, so she'll be there. Now let's jump into our developments. As you may have heard or not, Dalton Castle will be out of action. This was announced by Tony Khan that he was injured during his match against Roderick Strong. So he'll be out of action for the remainder of 2024. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery and we'll see him soon. It was later announced that in various sources that Naomichi Marifuji, who is, you may know him as the genius of the Arc in Pro Wrestling Noah, he'll be making his guest appearance at SummerSlam very soon. Now remember, as you know, there's been talk about Noah and WWE having a strong relationship, so this could be the beginning. Now Naomichi will not be wrestling. Some of you may or may not know, Naomichi also serves as the VP for Pro Wrestling Noah, a position that he had for quite some time because, you know, he's one of the OGs in the junior heavyweight division, along with Misawa. That would explain everything. But we'll see how that goes. Now, as you know, recently, when WWE were in doing the Clash at the Castle, they had a wrestler named RHIO, RHIO, was supposed to be there. But however, this is what the Fightful Select reported. They learned that she was invited for WWE Clash at the Castle last month. No deal was offered to discuss with RHIO, but WWE have an interest. RHIO has a U.S. visa and is scheduled for upcoming appearance in the U.S. So basically, they have some interest in her, but nothing has come to fruition just yet. But we will stay on top of this if anything has arise. Now, Takeshita talked about this with Walker Stewart, one of the English commentators. This is what he said. That Takeshita, when he was 9 years old, he sent a resume to the New Japan office in hopes of being accepted as a pro wrestler. Takeshita has wanted New Japan Pro Wrestling longer than Takeshita wanted anything. Throughout the Indies, DDT, and event AEW, Takeshita has sought to Saloon Blue at the G1. So basically, he has dreamed about this, and we'll see how that rolls up. Now, many of you may have known this or not. Sareee, or as we know her in NXT, Sareee, is the new MARIGOLD World Champion. So basically, she works with Rossi's promotion. However, she has spoken to Tokyo Sports about how disappointing she is that no one stepped up the challenge for the belt. Now, I have to say I'm in agreement with her. There were certain people she said she felt that she criticized about this, and that is Utami Aishida and Mirai. And this is what she said. Isn't this belt the pinnacle of the company? I'm disappointed that no one is brave enough to come and avenge Julia. Everyone stop being scared. Utami said, I'm the ace, right? Mirai also said, we'll beat Godzilla and get the United National Championship. Sareee, wait for me. But she didn't have to even get the belt. What's with this quietness? Isn't this lame? I don't know if they both depressed because they lost, but if they don't come up now, it's over, right? So basically, she's not happy how no one challenged for this belt. I mean, even Julia talked about this before. She said that if Utami Aishida wants to be the ace, she has to rack up some wins. And Sareee was in an agreement. And I think she mentioned that too. But it's kind of interesting that no one made a play for this belt. But we'll see. Someone better step up. I mean, Utami Aishida, if she wants to be the ace, just challenge for the belt. And I think we'll all be happy about it. But we'll see what happens in the future. But as of right now, we'll end things here and we'll call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. Coming up, as you know, we will continue with day 2 of the G1 Climax. We'll see how things will progress from here on out. But as we move forward, we will be, of course, there'll be some shows that I'll be reviewing. I think mostly we're going to do the Japanese wrestling scene in the next episode. So we'll see how that rolls up. But we'll leave things as it is. So we'll leave things like that and move on. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day.